Welcome back everyone to another episode of Pineleaf Previews, where today we are previewing the first round of beta here in Mordor here. And we are looking at the Black Gate, which has seen better days, that's for sure. Because the Black Gate has been cast down due to the effects of the destruction of a certain piece of jewelry, let's just say that. And with this down here, that means we are now able to enter into Mordor. And now we've entered Cirith Gorgor, which is the first of the zones you run into in Mordor. Now, just note that this is the first round of testing, and that the main thing that we've got right now is the landscape. We don't yet have the new models in, which they announced is going to be Elf and Man for the expansion, most likely only those two. The High Elves, they'll probably expect that to be another week before that'll be ready. Or let's just say they say it's not ready yet. I'm guessing it'll be another week, maybe two, before they'll have that ready. And the paths here, not much is going on in here. But as you can see, it's all nasty and burnt out. But not yet have any mobs going all over the place. Now, I am running with the armor that I have from live. I have reached level 106 by doing a couple of quests in the area, killing a few mobs, running a couple of skirmishes, and I just entered into the first of the real zones, into Udun, which is described by Chance Thomas as an industrial hellscape, and you can see that he was quite accurate in that description. And we also get the first level of Shadow of Mordor. Shadow of Mordor 1, which is minus 5% incoming healing and outgoing damage, and plus 10% incoming damage. And there are various tiers of that. I've seen as high as 3 and taking a little tour of this area. And they have said that they don't have the highest levels yet implemented. So therefore, going into various areas can be very, very dangerous. And you will, of course, be running into mobs starting in this area. Because if you, oh, I thought I saw a mob there. That goblin was really sneaky. Disappeared on me. Just when you wanted a goblin, it disappears. Right? Yeah, where's a nasty goblin when you want to see one, right? But anyway, this is the first of the areas with mobs. If you stick to the closer to the road, you usually have lower levels of the Shadow of Mordor. But also, the deeper you go into Mordor, the deeper it is. So it's a little bit of it. You can see the morale here is 56,446. This is for a normal mob. For a normal mob outside of Mordor, I would say about 21,000 is normal. So you can see there is quite a jump here. Now I think part of this is from the Shadow of Mordor, that mobs in the Shadow of Mordor area have a little bit of a bonus to the morale. But overall, 106s do have a jump in there, because I have noticed that mobs at 106 have twice the morale of mobs in other areas. How do I know this? Simple! I ran a skirmish, and running a skirmish in the Shire, 106 mobs are twice the morale as you have of the 105 mobs. So keep that in mind. So this has been about double, which have been about 42, and then we see a little bit more. That's about 25% extra over that. So I think that mobs in the Shadow Mordor area are probably getting an extra 25% bonus going on there. At least those are my guesses so far. I would have to do a bit more study on this over time to see if that pattern is a real pattern or if that's just a blip in the pattern. Because there we go, we've got this black Ulrich here. You see it's a signature and it has 72. What's he? 150. So we gotta. I think they have some bonus essences because you were able to get some bonus essences when you at the Isengard when you came in here just to boost you up a little bit. I do not have any of that. I am taking my tests here from the point of view of someone who is coming in as if they're on live, because I think that would also be a useful test in some way, is to see how well someone is getting through here. While I think there are plenty of players who will be going in there with enhanced gear and all that stuff in order to just get to the higher end stuff as fast as possible so that they could start to test the higher end stuff. Well, I'll be doing my test mainly in the lower area and seeing what's coming up on that matter. But, oh, spy! TBD Captain of the Pit Spy. Okay. He needs another adjective that they haven't decided what it is yet. But you can see this spy here, 43,000. So that's about in line for what I would be expecting. So I don't know what the pattern is who's getting the 25% bonus and who's not, and what the rules are, but it looks like that the further away from the camps or anything like this, some bonus and morale is going to be in there. So that's something to keep in mind in there, that yes, you're not just going to be able to casually quest all the way through Mordor, it is going to have some challenges in here. Back in more civilized locales, we also have some changes here to the Barber.
A lovely day, isn't it?
While they don't have the new character models, I suspect that they're doing the change on the Barber in order to help support the new model system. So therefore, we also have some changes to the Barber that affect the old one. Now it looks like with the old models, all the options are pretty much the same. But now you could change all the options. Before, you could change the hair, the eyebrows, and the details. I think those are the main what you could do. But now you could change anything about your character that you want. But you still have all the old options only. There aren't any new hair options or anything like that that I have noticed. Let's see. But you could change a few things here. Now you cannot change your body look. There have been some mentions of this inside the forums, but the dev said basically is that it didn't work. They tried to implement it, it didn't work. They're going to look into it. Maybe it could happen at some point in the future, but don't set your hopes on the matter. But if you want to go around changing your, not that you, not that one really. Actually, there I could actually notice the eye dip, but yeah, usually subtle changes in eye color don't mean all that much. But okay, change your tone. I've been going out questing a lot, so maybe I'm a bit tanned now. So therefore, I think you'd always do the hair thing in there. But yeah, anything you need to do. So if there's anything you want to do other than your body physique look, you'll be able to do now at the Barber. So it's a little bit of change here, and it's like only 64 silver for all of that. And there you go at the Barber. We also have a new tier of crafting called Doomfold, which I presume means the lands in the area of Mount Doom. And in these we have our usual thing of compost And Ithilien fields, usual thing here, fresh herbs and vegetables. So it looks like herbs and vegetables that you get, and it's assumed from around Ithilien, which I guess is the closest arable region that to Mount Doom that we currently have, since Nirn is not included in this particular update. And then in cooking, then alright, herbs, so yeah, we get herb pastry dough, Ithilien fresh herbs, so yes, it looks like it's mainly herbs that are what we're growing instead of the usual stuff. Of course, we still have some of the older things here. So we get our usual Lore Master pet foods. Herb pastry dough. What do you need for the regular ball dough? Okay. And you get some spring barley? Oh, you're going back to the apprentice level for that. Bag of salt, bundles of Ithilien herbs. So therefore, I guess it's the Ithilien herbs that are the main expensive item in there. So they didn't mind going back to spring barley for that. As our main cooked food, of course, you have cooked food. You have your usual fortifying food, which is it's a mash this time instead of your usual soup. And then, of course, you have your trail food, which is going to be for your one for an agility bonus, one for a might bonus, and one for a will bonus. I would presume that there's going to be a dropped recipe somewhere where you can get one that has a vitality bonus, and that's the one that you could find on the landscape. So currently, that looks a little underwhelming. I mean, plus 71 might for 20 minutes, and currently I have something that gives plus 144 to everything for 20. I hope those aren't the final numbers, because if they are, who's going to want them? Good grief. Yeah, what I got currently is better. Wait, what's the incentive? Well, I'll have to look into that a little bit further, because it doesn't look like that the food here is going to be particularly superior to what I've already got. But perhaps those are preliminary numbers, and they don't have them quite set up yet. Then they just have the basics of the crafting system. And I don't think I've got, because I don't have tailoring up in order to do that yet. But that's the crafting system. And those are the three items I could think of. There's new landscape that I showed before with the Black Gates open, entering into Mordor, foes having about a baseline of doubled morale, and they hit harder, and they seem to take more damage on those. I've gone against greenies and found them a tough fight to make. So therefore, yeah, I don't think the landscape in Mordor is going to be laughable like it has been in the last couple of updates. Second thing, we do have changes to the Barber, but this is only the beginning to this, because we do have the avatars changes that are coming up for men and elves. Later updates, they will have them for hobbits and dwarves, and that'll be announced at a later time. We also have coming up the High Elf. They're not quite ready today, though. Let's have a quick look at the character screen, because yes, character selection screen has been updated. The character selection screen hasn't been updated all that much, but they have updated the character creation screen in here, so that we have them for the various races. And you see that there are various poses for them. I don't recall there being specific poses for most of the others yet. So the Guardian up there, and the Hunter, of course, ready to fire. The Lore Master reading a book. the minstrel with the lute on his back, and then we have the warden, and I will presume similar for each of the rest on that. I think it's based, yeah, it seems to be based on the class for which pose you are taking. So therefore, if you're on a hobbit, yeah. Well, elves can't be burglars, but they can be champions. Of course, Bjornings are only Bjornings. And now let's have a look at the High Elf. And there's your High Elf captain. Looking very serious there. Of course, yeah, elves are that way in general, it looks like. And there's your High Elf on the champion. Can be a guardian. Same classes that the regular elves can be, except that they added the captain to the mix. Now the High Elf is not yet implemented. You can see they have this is locked symbol in there, the standing stone points thing. However much they knew, but I have a feeling you'll have to unlock it. I don't. It probably comes with the Mordor package when you buy it. I would assume that would be part of the purchase of Mordor, though they have not yet announced the pre-orders or what's coming in the package and all that stuff. But that is my current guess on the matter. But at some point it will be unlocked, and when it's unlocked, we'll be able to see what the High Elf race looks like. But you can see that that's what we've got so far. Next week, I suspect that there will be a little bit more added. Perhaps we'll get to see the High Elf finally. Maybe I could have another level or two so I could go deeper into Mordor without fearing for my life. Now, if you did see my housing video, you will note that I have taken a peek over at Mount Doom. So you could go over to that video and see my argument for far future Mordor housing, even though, of course, in the timeline of the game, it really does not make sense. But that is it for this little preview for this week. We'll return next week if there's anything. Actually, let's look at the race info. High Elves, who have beheld the beauty of Valinor, possess grace and strength beyond even their woodland kin. Those few who remain yearn to see that Middle-earth is safe to bequeath to the men before they depart for the undying lands. So therefore, they do make it clear that what they're calling High Elves are the ones who have actually been in Valinor. There was some speculation whether or not the High Elves are the immediate children, the immediate children of those who had been in Valinor and who came back. Are they the children of the Noldor? But apparently, no, that these are ones who actually were in Valinor and that came back for one reason or another. Whether that was with the Noldor or whether they might have some other reason in the background, we don't know. All we know is they said that the starting instance where you start out as your character, that unlike the Bjornings, it is not a place that could be readily be implemented on the map. So it is possible that we may be starting somewhere a little bit to the west of where now, whether they mean the Grey Havens, which hasn't been implemented yet, or whether they might even be Valinor, I've got no clue. But I guess we will find out when the High Elf is implemented, and perhaps we'll find that out in the next episode of Pineleaf Previews. Update 21, Mordor.